Varitek rips it deep and far to right. Mondesi heading back over his head and out of the yard. A two-run home run for Varitek.
The Bronx Bombers reclaimed the lead in the 5th, but David Ortiz had the answer in the 7th.
Ortiz jacks it into the gap in left center field. It'll get down and roll to the wall. One is in, two is in.
Brandon Lyon sealed the win with a perfect 9th to earn the save, and a tie again for first place in the East. The Rocket was on the docket for the next day, gunning for his 299th career win, and Roger Clemens would deliver, allowing 2 first-inning runs, then slamming the door for a 4-2 Yankees win.
Strike 3 to Nixon.
Once again, the Sox would bounce back, taking 2 of 3 from the Indians and carrying a 1.5-game lead into Yankee Stadium for a big 3-game series and another chance to stand between Roger and the record books, as Clemens had yet to claim win number 300. History would have to wait on this Memorial Day matchup, as the record-setting Sox tagged Clemens for 8 earned runs in 5 2/3. Tim Wakefield earned the win, and the Red Sox pushed their lead in the East to 2.5 games. The Sox relied on their offense to deliver most of the wins in May, with a 13-14 record for the month that ultimately left them a half game behind the Yankees. On May 29th, All-Star third baseman Shea Hillenbrand was traded to Arizona for flashy submarine pitcher Byung-Hyun Kim, an acquisition that would soon be credited with stabilizing the Sox shaky bullpen and triggering a turnaround this team didn't know it was waiting for.
Shea's a great player, but that gave us stability in our lineup. It basically opened the door for 400 at-bats for David Ortiz, Billy Miller and I to get playing time every day. And then you obviously see what had happened.
By June, the heat of Theo's relentless lineup of sluggers had already put the American League on notice. Have bat, will travel. The starting pitching excelled, as Derek Lowe recorded 5 wins in a perfect month. John Burkett won 3, and Pedro picked up a win after a stint on the DL. Interleague play began in Pittsburgh, and the Sox scored 19 runs in a doubleheader sweep. Game 1 behind the starting pitching of newly acquired Byung-Hyun Kim. The third game of the Pirates series also heralded the 100th anniversary of the first World Series, a 1903 Boston-Pittsburgh rematch. The Sox won that series, but lost this game 5-4, attracting more attention with their vintage uniforms than with their not-so-vintage performance. Interleague play moved on to Milwaukee, with the Sox second in the American League East. After an opening night loss, they quickly found themselves behind 10-4 after 5, with every reason to call it a night, but not this team. For them, it was time to pitch in and pinch hit. Pinch hitter Bill Miller started the comeback in the 6th. Pinch hitter Kevin Millar stepped up with the bases loaded in the 7th.
Jenkins going back to the track, to the wall. It's gone! A grand slam for Kevin Millar. Red Sox back within a run and back into the ball game.
And I get up and hit a pinch hit grand slam. But the weird thing in that is this guy threw a pitch. It was just high. Well, he runs off the mound and comes back about 10 seconds later. I don't know if you guys remember that. And I'm like, what could he have possibly done? He didn't go to the bathroom. I mean, he didn't. So the next pitch, he throws a hanging slider, and I hit it out of the ballpark. Well, I get home, everybody's fired up, and we found out that he went to throw up. So he threw a fastball, I just missed. He went in and threw up. He comes back out, his next pitch was a hanging slider. I hit it out of the ballpark. You kind of saw his face. It seemed like maybe he was getting a little more yellow or something in the face.
My goodness, the pitcher should have stayed in the dugout.
And with a score 10-9 Brewers in the top of the 9th, Trot Nixon stepped into the box.
Nixon hits it in the air, high to left center field. But Sidnick going back to the track to the wall. It's gone! Trot Nixon has tied the game with a solo home run. We're all tied at 10.
Next up was Mr. Back-to-Back Jason Varitek, who knew exactly how to ice the win.
Varitek lines it down the right field line back towards the wall. That ball is gone! Home run for Jason Varitek. The Red Sox go back-to-back. Nixon and Varitek, and they lead it 11-10.
The Sox hit 6 homers to record their biggest comeback in 3 seasons. This solidified their place as the best comeback team in all of baseball, serving notice that no lead would ever be safe against the 2003 Red Sox. June 10th brought interleague baseball back to Fenway. The Cardinals back to Boston for the first time since the '67 World Series, and Pedro back to the mound for the first time in 2.5 weeks. The Cards took Game 1, but in Game 2, Martinez struck out 3 in 3 strong innings. John Burkett threw the final 6, and their teammates backed them up with a winning 13-run outburst.
The track to the wall, and that'll carry out of the yard. Trot Nixon's 8th home run of the year as the Red Sox on top 1-0.
June 12th brought a heartbreaker to the Fenway faithful in the rubber game of the series. Down 3-0 in the 9th, Jason Varitek once again mounted a comeback.
Deep and far to right field, down by the pole, around it, and gone. A 2-run home run in the 9th for Varitek, and the Red Sox are back within a run.
Nomar Garciaparra followed with an electrifying hit for extra bases and extra innings.
It is up and off the wall. Jackson will come around and score from second base. Nomar still running for third with a triple, and the Red Sox have tied at 3-3.
The Cards struck back with 2 in the 10th, only to have the Sox answer with big hits from David Ortiz and once again, Nomar.
3-2. Nomar sends it into right field, a base hit. Around comes Freddie Sanchez. He will score.
The Cards chalked up 3 more in the 13th, but the Sox still refused to quit, scoring 2 more runs, but coming up short in their 3rd comeback of the night, losing 8-7. Another tough loss on this wild ride.
That game should have been just a tie. It was like there was no winner, there was no loser. It was just 2 teams that just went out there and respected each other and battled their butt off and gave you a great show for the pureness of the game and enjoyed it and walked off.
But true to form, the Red Sox responded by winning 3 in a row and 9 of their next 13, including a 14-inning Father's Day marathon that Manny ended with a game-winning RBI to complete a 3-game sweep of Jimmy Williams' Astros. Despite the long extra-inning contest, families patiently awaited the end of the game for Fenway's Father's Day Catch, one of the many fan-friendly innovations ushered in by the new team ownership. Boston traveled to Chicago, split 4 with the White Sox, and then hit the National League again in Philadelphia, a series more important for what didn't happen. The June 20th game with the Phillies rained out and rescheduled for Labor Day, a makeup game that would serve as a launching pad for the Sox march to the AL wildcard and beyond. But postseason success seemed hard to imagine on the 21st of June, after Nomar clubbed 6 hits, but the club still lost in 13 and were then shut out 5-0 the very next day.
But I remember being in my dugout going, man, I can't believe we lost this game. I mean, back in my locker, can't believe we lost this game. Like, well, you went 6 for 6. I go, but it didn't help us win.
The Sox staggered out of Philly, swept Detroit, then took another swing at interleague play. And what a swing it was.
Kevin Millar's gone deep for the 12th time this year.
Red Sox-Marlins Game 1 started innocently enough, with the Marlins taking a quick 1-run lead.
And the Marlins lead 1-0.
But that was the end of the innocence, as the Red Sox ignited a record-setting offensive explosion. Johnny Damon became only the 2nd player in Major League history to collect 3 hits in 1 inning, as the Sox batted around and around in the bottom of the 1st.
There's the Major League record.
10 Sox players would cross the plate before the first out was recorded, setting a major league record.
Can't even expect something like that to happen in a T-ball game. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, to score 10 runs without even making an out is absurd.
By the end of the first inning, the Red Sox held a 14-1 advantage, a lead they would pad and protect throughout the game, ultimately scoring an incredible 25 runs on 28 hits, and in the process, baiting the Marlins.
I didn't realize your pitching was that bad over here at Boston, that you're trying to add on a 16-run lead in the 7th inning, having guys thrown out at the plate on short fly balls. I mean, that's kind of, which is a blessing. It might be a blessing for us because it might have woke us up.
Manager Grady Little then made the local natives restless by apologizing for running up the score. The score ran the other way in Game 2, when the Sox blew a 7-run lead and lost to Florida 10-9 in the 9th.
At that point, it became really clear to everyone that we just had to do something in the bullpen. And I think the next day or a couple days later, we moved Byung-Hyun Kim into the closer's role, and we really took off in July.
The Sox were back in double digits in Game 3, pounding out 11 runs to topple the Marlins as Gabe Kapler muscled his way into the hearts of the Red Sox fans by going 7 for 11 with 7 RBIs.
I think that we are only going to get better. I think the best is yet to come these next few months.
The team closed out June with a 16-10 record and a difficult transition as pitching coach Tony Cloninger was forced to leave the team to receive treatment for bladder cancer. The pitching staff soon rallied under interim pitching coach Dave Wallace, and all of Fenway cheered Tony's late-season return to the organization. At the midpoint in the season, the 2003 Sox picked up their record-breaking pace and occasionally rewrote Major League history along the way. The Red Sox hit a team record 55 home runs in July, on the way to their second straight 16-win month. The month began with a tough series against Tampa Bay, losing 2 out of 3 against the Rays.
Baldelli will come around, and the Devil Rays will win.
A series in which Byung-Hyun Kim recorded his first save.
Got him.
The series loss was easy to overlook, since now everyone was looking ahead to the Yankees. There are always fireworks when the Sox and Yanks play in the Bronx. But when the Red Sox faced the front-running Bombers on the 4th of July, it was the Sox who exploded.
Oh, there's another deep drive to right. Bill Miller, the 3rd Red Sox hitter today to have hit 2 home runs in the ballgame.
With 2 on and the Sox trailing David Wells by 2, Jason Varitek started the show with his first of 2 homers on the day. Manny Ramirez struck next, launching one into the upper deck, followed by a David Ortiz offering to the hostile crowd.
And Ortiz hits another one deep to right, way back, and that ball's gone.
Ortiz would join Bill Miller and Jason Varitek in tying the record for most multi-homer performances in a single game by one team. The 7 home runs accounted for all the Sox scoring and were the most ever by an opponent in Yankee Stadium, as the Sox coasted to a 10-3 win behind Derek Lowe, who notched his 7th straight victory. The 5th of July featured more fireworks, pitting former Boston ace Roger Clemens against former Yankee Ramiro Mendoza, who got his first start in more than 2 years. Trot Nixon, a notorious Clemens basher at the plate, would start off what would be his sizzling month of July. David Ortiz continued to swing a hot bat, turning on 2 more homers and going yard for the 3rd day in a row. In all, Roger was tagged for 8 runs in 5+ innings, but not before he sent a message to the Sox. Ramiro Mendoza would send a message of his own by throwing 5 shutout innings for the win.
To go in there, it kind of felt like we punched him right in the nose. You know, the way you might treat your opponent in a street fight. You come in and before they even ask any questions, you just punch them in the nose, and that's what we did. And when Clemens knocked down Millar, I think the whole team was really ready to stand up and make a point, and then Trot Nixon hit the next ball out. And that kind of delivered a message to the Yankees that we weren't going to go away. It was a pretty big series.
The Yanks would take one back the next day, riding Andy Pettitte to a 7-1 win and setting the stage for a duel between Mike Mussina and Pedro Martinez. Pedro would set the tone in the first inning. Both pitchers then settled down and dominated in one of the best pitching performances of the season.
It is 1-2.